quick tier list video on the best quality leads you can get from certain softwares. Alright, so I've gone ahead and put a couple here. So we have Vane, we have a custom scraper, we have AirScale, we have an instantly sort of lead scraper, which is just encompassing any sort of lead scraper that's built into your cold email sort of infrastructure. So think instantly, think Clay, think all of that stuff, right? We have the classic Apollo, and we have Google Maps API. Alright, so these are sort of the stack I've used before. Let me know if there's any more, right, that you sort of think that belongs here. So all of these are sort of good. You can use these to do anything, to get any sort of leads, given different sort of strategies. For example, we know Apollo has sort of lower quality leads, but they're quite cheap. So you could do a lower quality unpersonalized email to a bunch of people. Let's say you got 0.5% sort of a positive reply rate. You still get a good amount of leads compared to the price you're paying per lead, right? But there's some bad ones, right? So let's just start with detail, which is just obviously instantly super leads, right? So essentially, let's just go ahead and take a look at this. So full screen, it looks just like Apollo, right? Just search bar, you type in what you want and you get sort of leads. But if you can see, the sort of big red flag here is that this is sort of where you send your emails, and it's literally just on the side here, super search, right? So now taking a look at this, we can probably see why it's so bad. Everybody has access to it, and the barrier to entry is so low that anyone that's sending cold emails, if they get the lead stuff from here, they're all going to send it to the same list, right? I know there's a lot of people here, but it's literally the same people being messaged, right? These guys are receiving maybe like sort of 15 to 30 cold emails a day. Like, it's crazy, because to get a real utility out of this sort of software, you need to put real super in-depth filters and personalization to get a real sort of list. And chances are these guys still got reached out to because they get caught by a bigger net, like a super huge unpersonalized sort of search, right? So let's go to the bottom of the list very quickly, because there's sort of a lot of factors that affect if a lead positively replies to you, and one of them is how much they get reached out to, because they won't even open your email if they got reached out to so much by these guys that have rubbish copy, and like just like, I'm tired of these cold emails, I'm just going to skip over them. And you can send the best email in the world and it won't probably even be open, right? So everybody and their mother uses this, so definitely at the bottom of flipping the tier list, right? So definitely down there. Now for C tier, now this is slightly controversial, not really, right? But this is the tier list on the sort of the way you can get the highest quality leads from, right? So this is just here by technicality, but Apollo is really good. But Apollo is in C tier because, let's just say, it's just like instantly super leads, but there's a certain amount of sort of a little bit of heuristics involved here that makes everything great, right? So what we have here that's different to instantly super leads is that it's cheaper, right? So you might say, it's not cheaper, but you can just use, there's a lot of websites you can use to scrape instantly. So you never even pay for instantly. You'll pay for these websites like this one, where it's sort of much cheaper. Look at the pricing, it's like $5 per 1,000 leads, right? That's quite good. And you get API access, you can do automation and stuff, right? So you have this whole sort of documentation of all these people, so you can sort of run the strategy against like I said earlier, low personalized, low quality emails to a higher sort of volume of people, and you get a high percentage. If you even get a low positive response rate, you still get a good amount of flipping, I want to get into a call and stuff, right? So the reason why this is very much above instantly is because these guys get reached out to much less, right? So what you've noticed is that as we go higher up the list, the better ones tend to have a longer sort of process to get the full list, right? So for instantly, you literally right there, you find your list and add it straight to your own campaign. Here you're gonna have to find your Apollo list, scrape it, and then you're gonna have to put it into a CSV and then send it back to the instantly, right? So a little bit more steps. Contemplating putting both of these, instantly and Apollo in C tier, but instantly is just so bad. But you would think, why is this like C tier? Like everyone, every video I watch tells me to go to this sort of software, right? But not really, because what they don't tell you is both of these sort of you're gonna find a bunch of these websites that have like an archive of people you can search for. They all get their leads from LinkedIn from a long time ago, right? So think like 10 years ago, they scraped LinkedIn a bunch, and it's just in their archives, right? Now you could tell the main sort of issues with that already. Like, it's been so long that it's like, if you get right now, we've been so long that some of these guys aren't even in the same job. So you're messaging these guys based on false information. I'm searching for CEOs in Singapore. These guys aren't even in Singapore anymore, and they're just gonna not like email. I'm not this. You get maybe added to the spam list. So ruin the reputation of your emails. And speaking of emails, even if they're not like done up, they might have even just quit LinkedIn, right? Or just like don't use it anymore, because 10 years is a long time, right? So high bounce rate for these emails. So you like a higher chance to get a high bounce rate. You're gonna have to verify these emails, and that costs credit. So a lot of hidden costs, a lot of stuff involved, just for a relatively low sort of list, right? But it is the best of its kind, right? Apollo is the cheapest and has just a lot of customization you can do, right? It has the API and everything, but instantly is definitely lowest. If you're just getting started, Apollo is good, right? Because it's cheap and you can just see what works and what doesn't work. But if you're going to beta now, you can see we're gonna add a bit more steps into getting your sort of lead list. That makes it a bit more complicated, and it's called crowding out. We're gonna crowd out these guys, cold emailers who just who don't want to take the extra step, which means they tend to have a worse copy, right? Because they just want to get the lead list out. So if we go ahead and take a look at this one, right? This is called AirScale, right? So we're moving closer to sort of building a custom list. Now, this is closely related to these two, but not really. So if I go to the AirScale here, right? All it is it looks the exact same, but you're searching for companies, right? They give you a bunch of options I'll show you in a minute, where you can just search for companies, search for people, search for this and that, and you'll get a list like this. You can then use your credits to not find an email. You don't even have the email here. You're gonna have to search for the company domain, right? So it'll get you your website. Now, what can we do with the website? We're gonna use a software called Any Mail Finder, right? So Any Mail Finder, I can show you this quickly. If you take a look at Any Mail Finder, you can literally just type in someone's company name and get their email. Why is that crazy? We just enriched this whole list with company domains, right? So we have the company name and the domains. If we go ahead and use Any Mail Finder, right, we can go ahead and get the whole email address. So if you don't know, Any Mail Finder is the tool that sort of separates the boys from the men, right? So we can literally find these guys, the company, and find the actual email from the domain, right? And then we have, and then at the end we have this sort of list, right? Same thing as the other two. We have this whole list of company names, the best email to reach out to them. We're gonna get first name and second name. But take a look at how many steps it took us to get here, right? We're gonna have a bunch of steps. We have to scrape their domain. We have to scrape their email. We have to probably have to scrape the first and second name if you need that in your email. And then just done all of that work for a lead list. Now, a lot of people won't do that, which means these guys that are getting emailed to won't have had a lot of cold email reach them. So a much more sort of accepting audience, right? So as a sort of trend, when we go up here, as the audience will be less reached out to, right? So compared to Apollo, these guys have not been scraped ages ago. These guys are getting scraped now. They're getting scraped with the company name and even comes with the LinkedIn, right? So these are old leads. So you also get the benefit of the emails most likely not being high bounce rate, right? Because they're sort of contemporary, they're new, right? And they're current. So you can protect your email by sending it to a slightly warmer audience. So that's sort of why we're in beta. That's sort of right. I mean, AirScale's good. So while we're in the middle of this, I use all of these softwares except this one, right? So what you do is for cold emails, you're going to want to do a lot of A/B testing. So just get your lead sources from other places and just like test which one works. So it's a very weird cold email. Sometimes some sources work better than others, but we're going to get into the big boys now. Now let's consider the next one, which is going to be Google Maps API. Now listen. Why is Google Maps API good? Now we're getting into sort of automation, right? The end process of getting this lead list is quite long, so now we're going to employ automation. And why is Google Maps API good? Well, it sort of works hand in hand with LinkedIn, right? So let's say you want to scrape plumbing businesses, right? Tell me, if you're a plumbing business, why are you on LinkedIn? Are you even on LinkedIn? You're not even on LinkedIn, right? So all these sort of Apollo, AirScale things, they're not going to have like a sort of high registry of these guys that are like sort of up to date and warm. So to get a really warm list of plumbers and stuff, you have to use Google Maps API. It's so good. Like you can put it on automation to filter for plumbing in your area, right? That's even better in your area. You get the little bonus for being local, right? But you can literally, this is the best way. No one even talks about it, but this is the best way to get leads that aren't like, they're like blue collar or like less in the office, right? This is definitely an A-tier pick. I can't show you an example, I don't have one running, but I'll show you an example of number one. Definitely A-tier. It's the same sort of process as AirScale. You're gonna have to scrape for your automation. You're gonna want to make sure that you get their website, which is most Google Maps guys have it, right? So I believe it's called Google Places, but you're gonna get these sort of the company name and the company domain, and you do the exact same thing we just did with Any Mail Finder. You put in the Any Mail Finder, you get the email, and then you do, and then you send it off, right? So you could tell when we're up here, getting that lead list is quite long. You make an automation that does iterates through each lead, right? Very long way of getting a lead list, but because of that, these guys don't get reached out to too much by email because the email most likely is not on LinkedIn or any other place except some sort of website. Spoiler alert for STR, but yeah. On the flip side of the coin, if they're not on LinkedIn, use Google Maps API. If they are, Vane I can vouch for, right? I've been using this one. This one changes everything, right? Think of these three, right? This one sort of uses LinkedIn a little bit, but more of a Google search, right? But these two, 10-year-old sort of LinkedIn search, right? Now, what if you can get LinkedIn now? Like, I want to search for LinkedIn right now, right? So Vane is actually one of the few softwares on the planet that can actually do that, right? I believe the other one, you can do a phantom buster that hijacks your browser and does it, but Vane is one of the only softwares on the planet that now lets you to scrape LinkedIn. Anyone that does cold email knows that scraping or getting LinkedIn information is incredibly hard. But if you don't know, now you know. Vane, let me show you actually. So here we are on LinkedIn Sales Nav. This is one of my examples from Vane, and see a real targeted list of orthodontics. Now, as I said earlier, this works hand in hand with Google Maps API because some searches just don't work too well on this, right? You can search for orthodontics, search for lawyers. These guys have LinkedIn because this is where they get their people, right? If I search for plumbers, it's going to be just an L, right? But if I go ahead and show you why this works, right? So the best thing about this is getting the emails hard, right? Some of these guys have their email in the bio, which Vane just detects and adds their own columns. That's fine, right? But we're gonna go ahead and once you scrape this list, you can get something like this, right? Let me show you. There's a whole list of these guys, and you can see there's a bunch of. It gives you so much information. If anyone does cold email, you know how good this is, right? This is something you're looking forward to because you can do a lot of stuff with this. Now, at the beginning of the sort of recording, I was like, we're gonna assume the copy is sort of the same for each software, but this one changes everything. This is why it's above Google Maps API, which I'll move it there. This one gives you this one column that changes everything. If I just scroll a bit, right here, summary. You get their own summary of their own personal sort of journey, right? Now, anyone knows that the thing I'm about to tell you just boosts your sort of positive reply rate by 30%. You go ahead and make an automation that sticks it into an LLM to write a sort of icebreaker that sort of refers to their life. It makes your emails sound incredibly personalized. Like, if I go over here, just like, love the prevention focus. That's the right way to think about it. Sort of, it's not the best. You'd use Claude, but I just tried to use the local one. I forgot what it's called. It's called Gwen, right? But it's not that good. But you can see like a lot of digital workflow focus. Just like, oh, these guys checked out my LinkedIn, they researched me. For cold email, you buy every line you write pays for the next one, right? So you have to make sure you're writing good. This guy's really sort of read into me, and then you're just gonna read further. So this is the best part. Buy a country mile, right? So use this to generate personalization. You put at the start of email, instant highest leverage boost of positive reply rates, right? And you'll get you have their website here somewhere. If they do have a website, like here, corporate website, put that into an email finder, and then you get their emails, right? So a super long way of getting a list. It's a bit crazy, but as I told you earlier, the longer it takes you to get that list, probably the better it is, right? You got this sort of long process. Not many people are going to do it. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have this like crazy list of super hyper personalized guys that haven't been reached out to, and you have a personalized line. Super personalized, definitely top of ATR, just like super hyper personalized list that you can't really get anywhere else, I think, on the market right now, except for one, which is STL. I'll show you right now. Now you might be wondering, what the hell? What is this? This is just I don't know what sort of icon to put for this, but it's basically custom scrapers. Now, it's really simple, but really hard at the same time. But everything's gotten much more easier, right? So let me show you what I mean. The first step into making a custom scraper is finding out where your ICP hangs out, or are grouped. Where is your sort of ideal people you want to reach out to? So here I just found this sort of website, and it's just video production agencies. I want to reach out to these guys. Now, I don't know what to do. I'm not on LinkedIn. I'm not on Google Maps. If you notice, back in the day, you can just do this and go into inspect element, right? A lot of stuff appears. What's going on here? So a lot of just HTML, sort of what builds your sort of front page or website is just HTML and like CSS and stuff for the graphics and stuff. But if I go and click something, or not even click something, just like look through everything. Now, all of these are drop down, so you can like see everything that's going on, or scripts, or the sort of you can see stuff getting highlighted just in a bit. It's sort of everything that's built here, all the links and stuff are all in here. Now, if you know what's about to happen, you know it's about to be so crazy, right? So it's used to be incredibly hard back in the day. You have to use a process called using regex, which is sort of a pattern recognition. You see all these sort of semicolons and colons in the HTML. You would write something in regex that like knows that, oh, okay, there's sort of a function going on here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this sort of I'm gonna go grab whatever's in this sort of box. So we're gonna go ahead and make an automation, an agentic workflow. that takes all this HTML, uses the LLM. I use chat because it's just I have the key for it. Claude a bit expensive, and then I'm gonna go ahead and scrape like the first half of this and see and tell it to generate a regex formula to grab me the company name and their website. Now, no one's doing this, and I can show you it right now. I've actually been working on this. It's just here. So yeah, take a look at this. So it's sort of, I just made this quickly, and it sort of scrapes the sort of website, looks at HTML, and just looks at the pattern where the website is. It's gonna be constant, right? That's what mostly constant, right? So, and it's gonna go ahead and write some regex, and then it's gonna run the regex. So you write regex with LLM, and then that's it. So it's really low token cost, and then you go ahead and run it. You know, just it's a bit. I'm a bit waffling on now. So just use LLM. Use an LLM to generate regex to look at the HTML and get the websites on that page, right? And you get something like this. If I go and click that, I'll bring this over here. I'll show you what sort of result it looks like. Alright, so you've got a sort of thing like this. Doesn't look the fanciest. I haven't spent much time into it because I really just care about these two. And look at this lead list. You got a bunch of websites. You got a name. Go ahead and take the website. Use it, feed it into sort of. You probably have to transform it a bit because you have to clutch on it, right? So all you have to do is just remove the clutch.co because see the website is still. I think it's still there. Like see different icons and stuff, right? You go ahead and feed it into any email finder. Get your emails and then populate those sheets. So you got this custom scraper that scraped the website where your ICP hangs out. No one is doing that. This is the sort of most targeted list you get. The lowest, you guys contact the lowest, right? So your email is like mostly guaranteed. Maybe not really. Maybe an 80%, 70% chance to get opened up, and that's already put your foot in the door, right? And then you combine that with good copy, you're gonna get some crazy results. So this is my comprehensive tier list for the best quality leads you can get in cold email.